For young people, platforms like Twitter and Instagram are providing a space to educate themselves about issues around racial justice.
Gen Z and millennials are at the forefront of the conversations surrounding race. And according to a new survey from the youth-focused marketing company Fullscreen, 84% of respondents aged 18 to 37 said they are responsible for educating themselves when it comes to race-related issues. Those young audiences also have a clear favorite venue for information.
Gen Z and millennial audiences go to social media as their number one source for race-related news.
From text-heavy Twitter threads to minimalistic Instagram slideshows, social media has become an accessible platform for Gen Z and millennial users looking to learn more about social issues. One account called So You Want to Talk About, that focuses on social issues from a progressive standpoint, jumped from 10,000 to 1.4 million followers since June. Beyond those newer accounts, younger audiences are also looking to their favorite influencers to drive conversations.
The influencers have done a great job building trust with their audiences. Therefore, they had the equity to ask these audiences to make that pivot with them.
When that happens,
did it change you?
It's really powerful. It helped me understand better.
You know, there's actually an NFL player, Emmanuel Acho, who has a show called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, where he broaches formerly taboo topics with guests.
The conversational format of Acho's series highlights an important point for young audiences. As informative as social media can be, it's really just a starting point for unpacking unconscious biases and dismantling racism in society. And while social media has been used as a tool for social justice activists, it's also worth pointing out the flip side. The Anti-Defamation League notes an explosion in social media being used to radicalize white supremacists and other racists.
What I'm more concerned about is what are the conversations you're having offline? Like, are you checking your friends, whenever they're saying things that are racist? Are you explaining to them, systemic racism? These are the important conversations that you should be having around the dinner table.
Casey Mendoza, Newsy, Chicago.
Casey, this is such interesting reporting, and I'm remembering when we were DMing about this very topic. I'm so happy that you were able to turn a story on this. Newsy's pop culture reporter, people are increasingly learning about race and racial issues on social media. So what do they do with that information? What's the next step?
Of course, so the next big steps, according to the experts I spoke to, is to, one, make sure to research more and contextualize what was learned on social media. Make sure to fact check, because nuance can get lost sometimes in viral posts. The second big thing to do is to take the conversations offline, and more specifically with your close friends and family members. A big thing my sources stressed to me is the fact that these conversations about race, especially if it's never been discussed before, will be really difficult, a little clumsy, and emotionally laborious. So it's also important to have patience.
Now, of course, we are in the middle of a presidential election. Is there any indication that the discussions around race are influencing young voters?
It absolutely is, because online and off, young voters see the changing discussions around race as a call to action. And through protests or campaign rallies, they're challenging both the Trump administration and the Biden-Harris campaign to address it as well. Karan Brown with Fullscreen had this to say.
72% of 18 to 37-year-olds believe that race-related issues are going to impact the election. So that shows that if there are parties that are unwilling to talk about it, that they will have a hard time galvanizing those younger audiences.
And that was really interesting because I think it shows that it's going to be very impactful come November based on where millennials and Gen Z stand.
I mean, your report answers a big question that I think a lot of people were thinking about, over the course of this summer on whether any of this discourse or conversation on social media was going to have an impact, outside social platforms. Would these movements like posting a black square on your Instagram actually do something. So clearly it can and it is, and we'll see, I guess, later, post-election, what happened and how this played a role even more so. So, Casey Mendoza, thank you.